everybody. If you're like us, you've probably set up dozens of these Bachmann E-Z Track layouts over the years. When we set ours up, we've never thought it was worth the trouble and maybe a little bit of a bother to hook up the turnouts so that you can use the electrical component of these to throw the switches. We've always just set up the layout and then just decided we were just going to throw the switches using the manual slide switch. Well, today we are going to show you just how easy it is to wire up your turnouts with the electrical components that come with the switch. So we bought a couple of these switches on Amazon because we're going to be redoing our layout and going back to E-Z Track. But this time around, we're actually going to hook up our switches to an electrical supply so that we can use these switches electronically versus doing the manual. So we already unboxed our switches before we got a chance to show you the packaging. So here's the packaging here. But what you're looking at right here is what comes in the package. So you get the switch itself, and the switch itself has this green cable coming out of it here. And if we turn the switch over, you'll see here that there's the electrical component right here, the little motor or whatever it is that throws the switch left or right. And then you've got the green cable right here. Now the green cable is kind of cool the way it's set up because it attaches directly under the switch so that if you wanted to drop these cables through your table so that nobody sees the wires, you can do that. But it's also got this slot here so that if you needed to run the wire out the side of the switch, it's got that nice little notch here that the wire will sit in. Also on the top here is actually that manual slide I was talking about before. So you can just move that back and forth, and as you can see, the switch is moving back and forth. Back to the bottom here, just to give you a quick look. Now one other piece of a component here that's on the back of the switch that you don't want to miss out on are these screws. There's two little screws that come with the switch. Now where these screws go is they can be utilized, if I take them off the tape here, they can be utilized by this electrical switch here, and you can just attach those, if you have a central place that you want to put the switch buttons, you can actually use those screws to attach it to that so it's got something solid on it. So that's what those screws are for. While we're here, we'll just go through this next component. The other thing that comes with the switch here is the actual switch itself, the electrical switch that will electronically turn the switch, left or right. So it's basically just a little slider. And then as you turn it over here, you'll see the little chip that it comes with. Now one thing you want to point out here, or I want to point out here, is the connection points. So one end here just has these flat little terminal ends, and the flat little terminal ends are going to receive the power supply. Then you'll see on the side there's this little triple connection point here. That triple connection point is going to receive the green cord from the turnout of the switch. And then finally, you've got these other kind of sliders here. Now, these look like connectors on the railroad that you would use on your track. And what these do is that you can kind of daisy chain these switches together so that you can have one power supply, and you can daisy chain these together and have power going to multiple switches with only one electrical connection to your accessory port on your power supply. And then lastly, you've got the power supply cord right here, the red cord. This is the cord that will connect to your power supply, and then the plug-in end here will plug right into the switch. So why don't we unravel our cables, and then we'll go ahead and hook up the switch. All right, with all our cables kind of spread out here, I just wanted to mention that this green cable here is about 21 or 22 inches long, so that cable is not all that long. And then our red power cable that comes with the turnout or switch is 2 feet long. So hooking this up is pretty straightforward. The first thing we'll do is we'll plug in our switch. And remember, if you look in, I don't know if you can get a good shot of that, but you can see it's got 3 slots there. So just match that up with this connection here. And that's one. Now the power cord is going to go on the flat side. Remember, we've got two connectors here. The kind of slotted connector here, which looks like a track connector, and then you've got the flat ones over here. This goes into the flat side. Now you're going to notice here that this connector also has 3 slots, but it only has 2 connections, not 3. So just go ahead and plug that in there like so. And that's your second connection. I'll give you a good look at that. And then the last thing we're going to do is plug it into or connect it to our power supply. On your power supply here, you'll notice that most power supplies, common, simple transformers for DC, have 2 sets of screws. One's for the track and then one's for the accessories, and they're pretty clearly labeled here. So the variable DC, that's your track on this particular transformer, and then accessories AC is for your accessories, and so that's the one we're going to use here. It doesn't matter what side you connect these to. There's no like neutral or a hot wire or anything like that. So there they are, all connected. We'll turn on our power supply. Okay, so with our power supply hooked up here, just take our switch, and then you'll see here the switch over here, the points there, or the track pieces, you'll see it moving back and forth. So all you do is just slide your switch across and change position. There's a little bit of a technique to this. Like if you slide it back and forth, it doesn't do much just by itself. What you have to do is once you slide it, you have to kind of press down on it. And then that will make it go back and forth. So slide, press it down, slide, press it down. And that's how it works. So that is how you wire up a simple switch for the Bachmann E-Z Track. All right, so now we're going to get a little bit more complicated here, and we're going to put 2 switches down. So your layout will probably have more than 1 switch. And if you want to control them all from the same spot, or you want to attach all your switches to one power supply, we can do that. So what I'm going to do here is I have another switch. I don't need the power cord because I already have a power cord running. So all I need is the green wire here that's attached to the switch, and then the button, the control button that came with the turnout. Sorry, I'm using switch and turnout interchangeably. What we're going to do is just take this switch. It's the same identical piece, and I'm going to plug in my switch into, again, like I did before, into one side. And I'll just do this from this side here so that you can see it's the flat side into the slotted side. So you just put those together like so. Actually, I think we can probably run this here. Again, plug your 2 components in, like so. And then finally your power. Plug that back in if you unplugged it like we just did. And again, that goes on the flat side there. Okay, so with both our electronic switches connected together and our green wires from our turnouts or switches plugged in and our power supply, now we can go ahead and we can control both of these switches. Let me just move that up a bit, from the same, and sorry if my arm is in the way here. Anyway, that is how you connect multiple switches together. The other question to answer here too is that what happens if your power supply is located a good distance from the switch you want to control? Well, Bachmann has this extension cord for the green wire here. So we'll just unbox this real quick. We'll undo it. This cord here is 10 feet long. Now we don't have to undo the whole thing, but basically what you would end up doing here is for your switch that's far away, obviously just unplug this, plug one end into that, and then plug the other end of the extension cord into the switch, the electronic switch, and then again, let me just move that out of the way. You can control your switch. And then this obviously will unravel to 10 feet and you can control your switches from a distance. So this product here, this 10-foot extension cord, easy to plug in, does exist on the market. You can buy them on Amazon. I don't believe this was all that expensive. Yeah, anyway, that's again just kind of a basic setup here for controlling your switches. Okay, so while previously I showed you how to wire two switches together using the same power source, what I really wanted to do was drive the point home that you can actually attach as many switches as you want to. So I just bumped the number here up to 4. So as you can see here, I've got 4 switches all connected. You can see they're all plugged into each other. The little flat blade connectors plugging right on one switch, plugging right into the slotted connection on the other. So we got 4 here, and we're hooked up to our power supply with, again, 1 power wire off of one end, and all of these are wired in a series, I guess you'd call it, so that they all have power. So yeah, so we can just actually kind of go right down the line here, and my arm won't be in the way, which is great. So here, you can see here, switch number 1, switch number 2, switch number 3, and switch number 4. There we go. So yeah, you can see here how easy it is. We've got 4, and again, just to make sure you know and understand, I can just keep adding switches right onto the end here. So the idea here is that we'll have our power pack or our power supply kind of at one end of the layout where we have all of our controls, and then we'll end up doing is having a board with our switches fastened to it, nice and close to the power supply here, and we can just run everything right from a single kind of control area here. So we can run our trains, and then we can control our switches, and then also if we add things like street lights and stuff like that, we can certainly add all that into the mix. But again, just wanted to show you just how versatile this Bachmann system is with these switches, and you can just attach as many as you want. Okay, so just one last thing. I was showing you a connection to a typical power supply, transformer, whatever you call it, a DC power supply here. But a lot of the Bachmann trains come with this type of a power supply. So how would you hook your switches up to this? Well, the switch connections would still remain the same here with the green cables going into the switches and the power cable coming out, or the power wire coming out. But what we would do here is, I'm just going to use a different wire here. What I did with this wire was I just cut off the little forks on the end here, and then just kind of stripped it and twisted the wire. So I'm just going to plug this end in here. This is just a new wire. We'll just remove that so it's not, hopefully it won't be in sight. Plug in the new power cable here. Not the new, but the different power cable. And then we've got our 2 wires here. Now on these Bachmann power supplies here, these actually work really good. Like, we've been using these power supplies with our trains for a long time. We have other power supplies, but you know, for a basic power supply, these little power supplies do the job. They don't look that impressive, but they do work fine. But anyway, these 2 little tabs on the top here, because we never hooked up our switches or our turnouts, I never really paid attention to what these were for. But this is actually on these little power supplies where you hook up your accessories. And if you push the button down, there's like these little guillotine type of connection ports here. You might see right under where I'm pushing, you might see the hole pop open there as you push it down. So you can go from the front or you can go from the back. We'll just go from the front here. But you basically just kind of, let's see if we can't get that in there, pop your wire through. Just line up the hole so you can see through it. And you can see that little connection there. They're not super tight, but they, like I said, they do the job. So you can see that, you just push them down again. Here's from behind, you can see the wires sticking through on the other side of those little holes. Not a huge thing, but anyway, just turn on your power supply so you see the light. And again, using your switch, you're back in business. So anyway, just wanted to show you how to hook up to these very typical Bachmann power supplies. If you buy, like if you and your family are, you know, just starting out in trains and you buy one of those Bachmann sets that has the E-Z Track and comes with a power supply like this, well, that's how that would work. All right, I think that's it for this video. It'll be nice to try something new to get our switches or our turnouts powered up and use them that way rather than going around the layout and throwing them manually like the little lever here allows us to do. So we're kind of excited about that, and we'll keep you up to date on the wiring job and how it works out. So that's it, and we'll see you in the next video.